Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Year's Best Fantasy Volume 2, edited by Paula Guran, narrated by Dina Pearlman and Perry Daniels. Introduction. Radical and Not-So-Radical Literature. Paula Guran. Fantasy is hardly an escape from reality. It's a way of understanding it. Lloyd Alexander. About 20 years ago, China Mieville wrote, "Thankfully, the alternative tradition of fantasy has never died. Where traditional fantasy has been rural and bucolic, this is often urban and frequently brutal. Characters are more than cardboard cutouts, and they're not defined by race or sex. Things are gritty and tricky just as in real life. This is fantasy not as comfort food, but as challenge." The critic Gabe Chouinard has said that we're entering a new period, a renaissance in the creative radicalism of fantasy that hasn't been seen since the new wave of the 60s and 70s. I don't know if he's right, but I'm excited. This is a radical literature. It's the literature we most deserve. This prediction has more or less proven true. You'll find examples of this radical literature herein, as well as more traditional but still highly relevant fantasy fiction. There are also fantasy stories in other veins and mixes of all kinds. Not all fantasy needs to be gritty and tricky to be meaningful. We need comfort food, as well as challenging victuals. Fantasy is nothing if not versatile. Among the 28 authors included here are veteran writers whose names you will probably know, many who have gained recognition through awards, writers who are just now beginning to make their mark, and fresh newcomers. One story is a reprint of a first-time publication, and a couple more are close to that. As with the first volume, the stories selected for this anthology are diverse in many ways. Although none can be called epic, some at least have that flavor. You'll find adventure, magic, romance, gods, mortal rulers, secrets, revelations, disquietude, comfort, and a multitude of emotions. You'll journey into pasts, the futures, and all sorts of places in between, including the here and now. But this is fantasy. Don't expect any place or time to be entirely familiar. Some are sheer flights of fancy. One has only a smidgen of the speculative. Some tales are light-hearted, others more serious in tone. There's a wide stylistic variety. Anything can happen in fantasy, and just about anything happens in these stories. What they have in common is that they take the listener from the ordinary into the extraordinary, and they make the impossible seem quite possible. The tales draw from many cultures and blends of those cultures, Western, Mid-Eastern, African, South Asian, and particularly this year, and for no reason other than, like all chosen, I felt the stories were worthy, East and Southeast Asia. Another peculiarity, somehow or another I selected 5 stories that feature dragons. 2 more mention dragons. They are all very different iterations of this legendary creature, so I don't see this as a negative at all. It was just a great year for dragons. There are also 2 stories about soup, and a third that includes soup. I'm not going to think too long about that coincidence. Soup in literature, there's a dissertation theme for you. Less surprisingly, the pandemic is important to 2 stories and provides background for a third. There are certainly dark stories in this anthology. In general, however, I saved the darkest stories for The Year's Best Dark Fantasy and Horror series that's been published annually since 2010. Its 13th volume, even though it is titled The Year's Best Dark Fantasy and Horror Volume 4, covering, as this book does, the calendar year of 2022, will be published by Pyre later this year. As always, it has been a privilege and honor to be allowed to compile this book. I am grateful for the opportunity. Paula Guran, Hogmanay, 2022. The Portal Keeper, Lavi Tidhar, October 1. The rabbit was back this morning. It stopped outside the portal like it always does, and it checked its pocket watch like it always does. It doesn't matter. The rabbit's always late. So far, I never found out what the rabbit is late for. It wore a jazzy waistcoat. It looked nervously from side to side and mumbled to itself. Then it hopped through the portal and was gone. I trimmed the grass hedges and washed the flagstones and placed fresh seeds in the bird feeder. I'm a portal keeper. The portal just sits there, a circle of heavy-etched metal, the height of 3 men or 1 small giant. It shimmers like a mirror inside. I cleaned and wiped the metal, applying polish. The metal is etched with what could be ancient runes or could be manual instructions. I don't know what it means. I'm just the keeper. October 2. 2 unicorns wandered past the meadow this morning and stopped in the courtyard. I greeted them formally and didn't approach. They chewed on the grass for a while, and one pooped on the flagstones, but apologetically. Then they ambled into the portal. I scooped the poop and washed the flagstones. I trimmed the grass and fed the birds. I made a cup of tea and sat in the last rays of the sun and let them warm my face. It is always warm inside the polder of the portal. Outside it is October and frost lies on the field. October is a busy month in the portal calendar. October 3. A man with a knife came through this afternoon. His clothes were bloodied and the knife was very big and very sharp. He was not a bad-looking man, but he had a mean look in his eyes and he was clearly in a hurry. He left a tip, though. After he went through the portal, I waited a while, but no one came, hot in pursuit. The coin he left was heavy, gold, and with a portrait of a woman on one side. I put it into the cash box. October 4. No one came at all today. I read a book and made my rounds. I polished the portal. The metal felt warm. I often wonder what it's like to go through it. Sometimes I want to put my hand through the shimmering haze. What would I find? I know the destinations change. I swept the courtyard and in the early evening watched a shower of meteorites high in the eastern skies beyond the snow-capped mountains. I lit the night beacon. It shines bright, and I find it lifts the gloom that sometimes falls even in the polder. It lights the way for travelers who come to us. The portal never shuts. October 5. A woman came through the portal today. She stood in the courtyard and blinked, looking around her with curiosity. She wore a summer dress and glasses with black frames. "Hello," she said. "Hello," I said. "You are the portal keeper?" I said I was. She looked around some more. "It's nice," she said. "Where am I?" I did not know how to answer that question. The woman indicated my outdoor table. "May I sit?" "Please," I said. "Would you like tea?" "If you would be so kind," she said. She sat down and brought out a large book, and an assortment of mechanical devices she proceeded to calibrate. She made notes in the margin of the book often and bit her lip and talked to herself quite unself-consciously for a while, and then she stabbed the page with her finger and said, "Aha!" and looked quite pleased. I brought the tea and sugar. "It's good," she said, surprised, after she took a sip. I smiled. "Would you like a biscuit?" I get them from the baker in the village. She said she did and ate 2 in quick succession. "Well," she said, "I must be off." "Out there?" I said. "It's cold beyond the polder." "Oh, no," she said. "This is not the place." "I see." She shook my hand in parting and thanked me for the tea. She had a firm handshake. Then she stepped back through the portal and was gone. October 6. I left a note on the cottage door to say, "Out, back soon," and wrapped up in a coat. When I stepped over the polder's threshold, the cold air hit me at once and the sun vanished under the cloudy sky. I like October for all the mischief that it brings. I walked down to the village slowly, along the brook that runs down from the snow-capped mountains, past the polder where I live and through the village. The trees were bare, but flowers still grew in profusion between the rocks, and the water bubbled gently. Soon I could see the old mill and crossed the small stone bridge to the village, where smoke rose from the chimneys of thatch-covered cottages. I bought fresh bread from the baker and 2 dozen eggs, bacon and chops from the butcher, some smoked fish, for which I have a fondness, and tomatoes from the farmer's cart that sits next to the village pub. I went inside for a quick drink and was welcomed with, "Hey, keeper." "The usual," I said. The barkeep grunted, pushed a glass of sherry my way. I sipped it slowly. A fire burned in the hearth, and the room was warm. I gradually noticed a youth staring at me from a place near the fire, a scruffy one at that, not local. I waited until she approached. "They say there is a portal hereabouts," she said without preamble. I was surprised. Usually they are more circumspect at first. "This true?" "Not far from here," I said. "You are the keeper?" I nodded. She waited a while, they always do. When she spoke, her voice was lower. "Can anyone use it?" she said. "Anyone who can use it, I said. "What does that mean?" "What do you think?" I said. She chewed on that. She looked hungry. They usually do. "Can I see it?" she said. "If you can see it, you can see it," I said. "What does that mean?" "What do you think?" I said. She chewed on that one, too. "What's your name?" I said. "Sophie." "And where do you want to go?" I said. "I don't know," she said. "Somewhere else that isn't here." "You run away from home?" "What's it to you, keeper?" she said, all spiky. I sighed. "What do you think you'll find?" "The other side of a portal?" I said. "I don't know. Excitement, adventure." "Or misery and pain," I said. "You don't know what the other side is like." "I don't care," she said. "At least I'll know." I finished my drink and stood up. "Go home," I said tiredly. I went back outside, over the stone bridge and up along the stream. I put the fresh supplies in the kitchen. I live simply. I live by myself. Portal keeping is a lonely business. October 7. The fuzz came just before lunchtime. There were two of them, a constable who said little, and an inspector with mutton chops hair. "Sorry to bother you, ma'am," the inspector said. "No trouble," I said. "Would you care for some tea?" "If you would be so kind," the inspector said, looking pleased. I brought tea and more of the biscuits. "Did a man go through here a few days ago?" the inspector said. "Bloodied clothes, big knife." I allowed a gentleman of that description did recently come by. "I thought so," the inspector said. He chewed on a biscuit. "Oh, these are very good," he said. I nodded. "Well, if he comes back this way, will you let us know?" he asked. "I don't get involved," I said. I thought about it. "I don't think he'll be coming back this way, though." The inspector noisily sipped his tea and got up. "I had to ask," he said. "You understand." "Of course." They wrapped their coats around themselves as they left the polder. I watched them leave. A flurry of snow fell on the fields in the distance. October 8. A little girl stepped out of the portal around tea-time, looked around her and withdrew. Then a boy. Then two more children, a boy and a girl, both somewhat older. None of them stuck around. A lot of kids use portals. October 9. The woman with the black-framed glasses was back in the early morning. She stepped out of the portal, looked around her, and pursed her lips. "This place again," she said. She wore long leather trousers this time, and had a hand-sewn fur coat. She saw me. "Hello, keeper," she said. "Hello. Are you lost?" She sighed. "I'm trying to reach somewhere that is hard to reach," she said. "May I stay a while?" "Be my guest." She sat down at the garden table and set to work on her calculations. I trimmed the hedges and fed the birds. Then, "I'm making breakfast," I said, "if you'd like some." "I couldn't impose," she said. "It's no bother." People seldom stay long on the threshold. A portal is for coming or for going. I fried bacon and eggs and toasted bread. I served us both on the garden table. The woman pushed away her instruments and charts. She dug into the food with great relish. I realized I enjoyed watching her eat. She caught me looking and smiled self-consciously. "I've been short on sustenance in the last place," she said. "You travel often?" "When I need to." Something occurred to me. "Did you come across a man in bloodied clothes in your recent travels?" I said. "He carries a big knife." "Oh, him," she said. "I passed him briefly in a place where there are 3 suns and the flowers speak, but we didn't exchange pleasantries. Is he of interest to you?" "Just curious," I said. She swiped the last of the egg with the last of the toast and belched, then looked embarrassed. I laughed. "More tea?" I said. I refilled her cup and we sat there in companionable silence. "I better get back to my work," she said after a while. "Can I help wash up?" "It's no bother," I said. I carried the plates away. She bent over her charts and muttered to herself, her pencil flying over the paper making calculations. I washed the dishes and watered the garden. My mint was growing wildly. I picked some for later. "It really is beautiful here," the woman said. "I must be going." She thought a moment. "My name," she said, "is Dorothea." We shook hands. She went into the portal and was gone. I dozed in the sun and was woken by the arrival of a raven. It perched on the window-sill of the cottage and regarded me with doleful eyes. "You know there's a girl pacing outside your threshold," it said. "Yes," I said. "She's been there a couple of days. She'll get tired soon, I suppose." The raven cawed, and then it flew into the portal. Ravens travel between worlds quite a lot. October 10. No one coming or going today. I left a note saying back soon and walked to the farm for fresh milk and some butter. The girl Sophie came and walked beside me. "I just can't see it," she said. "Then go home." "I won't." "Have you eaten anything?" I said. "A little." "You look cold." "I'm fine," she said. I sighed. "I'm only going to the farm down the hill," I said. "I'll keep you company," she said. "Are there many portals?" "I suppose," I said. "I wouldn't really know." "Are you the only keeper?" "It seems unlikely," I said. "But it's just a job. Like locks and cemeteries and gardens, they all have keepers too. Someone still needs to clean the flagstones and feed the birds when other people go off to have adventures." She smiled at that one. I smiled back. "Go home," I said. "I won't." "Then run away to the city. That's what people usually do," I said. "Who said I'm not from the city?" she said, defiant. "Are you?" "No." "If you read too many books, you can get all sorts of weird ideas," I said. "You can't really run away from your troubles, you know. All you do is exchange one place for another." "How do you know?" she said. "If you never went anywhere?" I shrugged. "It's no use offering advice to the young." I followed the brook past the village and down to the farm. No one was in, but they'd left milk and butter and eggs, and I left them the coin the man in the bloodied clothes gave me. I walked slowly back up the hill. "It's cold," Sophie complained. "It's October." "Do you ever see ghosts?" she asked. "Not very often." We reached the polder. "I'd like to—" "Hey!" she said. I could hear her muttering on the other side of the threshold. "Where did you— Oh, this is confounding." I left her to it. October 11. The rabbit was back, late as always. A little girl followed him through the portal a short time later. I played with a deck of cards, did my rounds, made a sandwich, and took it across the threshold. "Where did you—" Sophie said. "It's a mystery," I said. "Here." I gave her the sandwich. "Thanks," she said. She ate it very quickly. "I'm still not going anywhere," she said. "Suit yourself." "Wait!" I don't know why some people find portals and others don't. I don't know how it works. I polished the metal. The portal vibrated softly under my hand. I fed the birds and watered the flowers. It was cold outside the polder. I walked back across. "Hey, how do you—" "Here," I said. I handed her a blanket. "Why are you being nice to me?" Sophie said. "I don't know." "How did you become a keeper anyway?" she said. "Same way everyone does, I guess." "Come on," she said. "Let me in." "Go home," I said. Then I went back and read a book until bedtime. October 12. 2 witches came by mid-morning. I like witches. They stopped and chatted a while. I made tea. We discussed broomsticks mostly. October 13. Went down to the village, bought supplies. No sign of Sophie. I guess she finally gave up. October 14. A beaver in dungarees came by early, didn't stop to chat. A booted, rapier-wielding cat came next, a couple of centaurs, then another witch. "Hello, Jill," I said. "Hello, Keeper. Keeping busy?" "Getting there," I said. "October, right?" she said. "You said it." "May I see your herb garden?" she asked. "Of course." We admired the plants. "May I take some of your mint?" she said. "With pleasure," I said. "Is it for magic?" "Oh, no," she said. "I just like the smell. I could make you a love potion if you like, though." I shook my head. "I'm happy as I am," I said. She nodded. "Well, I better be off," she said. "I'll come back this way sometime." She wandered into the portal. Her black cat followed. I watered the plants, trimmed the hedges. No sign of Sophie. I wondered where she went at last. October 15. The woman in the black-framed glasses came back this morning. I felt pleased to see her. "Keeper?" she said. "Dorothea?" "Something keeps pulling me back," she said. "Some sort of interference in the Arne-Thompson field, maybe. Here, I brought you something." She took my hand. Her hand was warm. I felt something very light touch my skin. She pulled away, looking pleased. "They're seeds," I said. "Yes." "Are they magical?" "I wouldn't think so," she said, looking surprised. "They're love in a mist. The flowers are pretty." "Then I'll plant them in the garden," I said, and she smiled. "I'd like that," she said. "Stay a while?" "I really shouldn't." "What is it that you try to find?" I said. She shrugged. "You know how it is," she said. "Not really. I'm just the keeper." "I don't want to talk about work," she said. "May I sit down a while after all?" "Of course." I brought tea and we sat together. "Have you been a keeper a long time?" she said. "A few years." "What did you do before?" "What does anyone?" I said, and she put up her hands. "I didn't mean to pry," she said. "It's all right." How does one end up a keeper? You have to suffer loss, enough to make you want to live alone where nothing happens. I didn't say that. Maybe she saw it in my eyes. She touched my hand lightly and left it there. We looked at each other. Her face was serious. Her eyes were a deep brown. I found myself leaning toward her only slightly. The space between us closed. "I have to go," she said. She stood up quickly, pushing the chair back. "I'm so sorry." She grasped for her charts and instruments, suddenly in a hurry. "Wait," I said, but she'd already gone through the portal and vanished. October 16. 2 black-clad men in robes and hoods showed up when I was planting the love in a mist. I was still puzzled and a little hurt from yesterday's encounter with Dorothea. I wondered if she would come back. I hoped she would. "Keeper." The black-robed men had a definite evil miasma about them. That's the way it goes sometimes. The hoarse voice and the fashion sense and the way the robes seem to always float just above the ground. "Help you?" I said. I didn't offer them tea. "Looking for someone." "No one else here," I said. "Sorry." "Would have gone through," the taller man of the two said. The second one didn't speak. "Bloodied clothes. Big knife." "Oh, him. I don't know where he went." "We have some idea." They headed to the portal. "Wait," I said, and they paused. "What?" "What did he do?" "Interfered," the man said. He said something to his companion in a language I didn't understand. The smaller one made a hissing sound that could have been a laugh. Then they vanished through the portal. October 17. Went for a walk to the village. Something moved in the bushes, but I paid it no mind. Had a glass of sherry in the village pub, as usual. Cold, crisp day. Bought bacon and bread. Walked back. "Got you! Arr!" Sophie jumped out of the bushes and latched onto my leg as I crossed the threshold. She sat up on the flagstones, looking dazed. "Where did this come from?" she said. Then, "Hey, how come it's warm?" "Congratulations, kid," I said. "You found it. Now what?" "I don't know. Is this it?" She pointed at the portal. "Want to see it?" "Yeah." I let her go. "I'm just the keeper." She put her hand on the metal, stared into the shimmering air inside the circle. "Where would you go?" she said. "I mean, if you were going to use it." "I think about it sometimes," I admitted. "I don't know. Where would you go?" She looked at me with shining eyes. "Everywhere," she said. "You get them every so often. The runaways, the lost ones. Most of them give up after a week and go away. But if they're stubborn or desperate enough, they usually find the portal in the end. Then it's up to them. Go through or go back. You can never tell." "Want some tea?" I said. Sophie looked hungrily at my shopping. I sighed. "I'll make you a plate," I said. October 18th. Sophie's still here. I let her sleep in the garden shed last night. She keeps looking at the portal. The pacing has been getting on my nerves. "Make a decision yet?" I said. "I just don't know." "You said you wanted a portal." "Yes, but I didn't think it was real. Like real, you know," she said. The air inside the portal shimmered. Then a figure stepped through. He'd changed his clothes to ones that weren't bloodied, and he put the knife somewhere out of sight, but I recognized him, of course. "Didn't think you'd be back this way," I said. "I left something behind," he said. "Some people looking for you," I said. "There usually are," he said. He nodded. "Anyone I should know about?" "A police inspector," I said, "and two guys in black robes." "Hoarse voice, a general miasma of evil," he said. "Float off the ground." "That's them. Friends of yours?" "Nah," he said. Then, "Listen, Keeper, thanks for letting me know. I owe you one." "What did you do, anyway?" I said. "I tried to stop them from performing a certain ritual," he said. "They're pretty bad as far as cultists go." Sophie was listening to all of this with interest. "And what are you?" she said. "I'm more of a, what do you call it?" he said. "Disagreeable." He gave her a smile, looked at me. "Apprentice?" he said. "What? No," Sophie said. "She's thinking of travel," I said. "Ah," he turned to Sophie. "Anywhere in particular?" "The singing sands of Sipur are beautiful this time of year, and the dragons assemble on Mount Ushum before their great migration south." He fell silent, perhaps thinking of better times. I wondered where his knife was. "I never saw a dragon," Sophie said. He shrugged. "They smell pretty bad," he said. "All that gas, you know. Anyway, I'll see you." In moments he was gone. I thought the inspector will soon have more work on his hands. October 19. A toad driving a Rolls-Royce came through this morning, honking loudly, and vanished into the portal. October 20.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?